I'm Kay Smith and welcome to Outlier, where we share inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things outside of their comfort zone in a bid to help other outliers and entrepreneurs do the same. In this week's podcast, we will be going through Andrew's interview that we showcased this week. So it's all about you this week, Andrew, and all the inspiration behind Outlier, how you got to become an outlier yourself, or you were born an outlier, to be honest. But how you came to embody being an outlier, the story that you went through from childhood, all the way through to now. And it's a really, really amazing story. So if anybody hasn't watched it and really wants to understand where Outlier comes from, then please make sure you click above, and where we are in the screen, make sure you can have a click and watch the episode. It's a really gem of an episode this week. So hi Andrew, welcome to your podcast this week.
Hi Kay, good to be here as always. A bit strange me talking about myself, but obviously it has a purpose behind it, which looking forward to sharing.
Yeah, it's really great. And I think it's really inspiring that you actually made the episode about yourself, because Outlier is something you created because of you recognizing the outlier within yourself and you wanting to inspire other people to be outliers, also. So it's a really important story for people to understand, like, what is Outlier all about? So I think it's amazing and brave as well to get that episode out there.
Yeah, thanks. I think the key, so people will ask me, what is an outlier? And an outlier is essentially a person, place, or thing that's different to others in the group, right? So I guess it's about being unique, but I have a belief that we're all unique. Like fundamentally, DNA-wise, we are, right? We're all slightly different, but we don't, because humans like to, I guess, run with the herd, we aren't all different in the way we apply ourselves. So that doesn't sit well with me, because I've always done the opposite of everyone else, but that also has brought up its own issues, right? You feel like you don't belong. Sometimes you might get a bit lost. You don't know where you're heading, stuff like that. But for me personally, those were always clues as to how can I do more with this? Because I actually realized really early on, that is me. I am one to be an antagonist, a challenger of status quo, a rebel, an outlier, that is part of my strength. It's part of who I am. So rather than run from it and try to run to the herd, because that never feels good to me, it makes me feel sick. And I know what I'm saying to 95% of the population would scare the shit out of them. But to me, running to a herd and doing the same as everyone else, that terrifies me, right? Because I feel it's not me. I'm not being authentic. So I looked at all of this, I've looked at it over the years of being in business, and I just thought, if I'm feeling this, I know there are others feeling it. And so what usually happens is they suppress it or depress it and get depressed because they push these feelings away because they think that they're bad in some way, because they're different, right? It looks like they're different to everyone else, but it's actually their internal self giving them clues as to what they should be more of or doing more of. And so I just thought about it, and I thought, well, I have the ability and the power to help people unleash their inner outlier, so they get real full clarity on who they are and what they want to do. And I also have the knowledge based on my history on how to help them turn it into a business. So it's really important to me that that's essentially what Outlier is about, right? It's helping those people who are feeling that way to make them realize it's a strength, not a weakness, and then help them turn it into a business. So actually they can feel fulfilled by being themselves on a daily basis. And then part of that journey too, which we'll talk about, is attracting more people like themselves to be able to help be more like them. So therefore they don't feel different. They've got like a tribe or their own like-minded people that they want to associate with. So that's essentially what Outlier is. And then obviously the two nutshells there are helping people unleash that part of them that they know is deep down, it's calling them, but they don't know what to do with it. And then the other part is once they do know, how to get it out to the world. So they can turn it into, I call it turning your passion into your pension.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well, about, how we help people directly in that way during doing Outlier. But before we get on to that, the series itself, we interview people that are already made it, they've already got their business set up, they already know who they are, but they've gone through a process, they've all gone through a journey. So what was the reason behind the Outlier series, and how did you choose the people for the series?
Yeah, good point. So the reality is I didn't want to talk from my own self all the time, that I was the proof of it's possible, because that gets boring pretty quick, right? Every episode, if I was talking about myself, would be stupid. So I wanted to use other inspiring entrepreneurs, athletes, outliers who've been there, done that in their own realm, and multiple times, sometimes for some of them, but to prove that it's possible. So really to use them as inspiration and then education on how did they do it for themselves. And you'll know, obviously, they're all very similar, but they're all very different journeys. So how did I choose those people? That's a really good question too, because it's part of my process before I do any business, is I go through a process, which we call it step 1 of our Outlier Coaching Program, is personal alignment, right? And clarity around how I want to do business. And then step 2 is about who do I want to do business with? So I got clear on my passions, my talents, my values, and my vision, right? Which I have a process that I use for that. And then I went, okay, well, now that I'm clear on that, who is it that I'd like? So part of my values, for example, is adventure, freedom, inspiration, and travel, and nature. Nature's another massive one. So you'll notice every episode has a beautiful backdrop. Other than our podcast, we do this for ease, but beautiful backdrop, but it's not the real backdrop. We're not in the Sacred Islands at the moment, right? But every other episode, I have a beautiful backdrop. I couldn't do it if I was doing it in a studio or in an office every session and just doing it on Zoom with these guys. I have to travel to where these people are. So I went, well, where do I want to travel to? What are the types of things I want to do? So that a lot of them involve sport, because I love sport. Nature is massive. Outlier destinations. They had to be outlierish destinations. They couldn't just be normal, same old destinations. So they had to be off the beaten track, right? Because ultimately I want to inspire others to go back to those destinations as well. So I have this whole design process that I use that gets me into alignment of full clarity of how I want to project my business or my series. And then I say, okay, who fits those values that would fit into the series perfectly? And then from that, I go through who I know. And then as I start researching, others come to me. Like I did a call out multiple times for people, and only one of those people I chose. But by doing the call out also leads to other synergies that, you're putting out energy now, looking for people that leads to certain people. And then I go, I'll give you an example. There was 3 people in Japan, right? One was referred by his brother, and one was a friend of mine who I haven't seen in 20 odd years, right? And then another one was a good friend of mine, my best mate from school. And I thought, well, there's a perfect combo. 3 interviews in Japan. I haven't been to Japan since 94 or whatever for volleyball. And they were all snow related. I went, perfect. That is a perfect little combo, right? So that was one. Then there's Fiji. I'd done some episodes in Fiji for my golf show, and I wanted to go back and tell the stories in even more depth of some of the people I met. And so I did that. Plus, my brother recommended another person with the Waiwasa resort. So I combined them together. I went to New Zealand and I did certain shows over there. So every person that I choose had to feel inspiring to me, that I wanted to meet them. I wanted to tell their story, and I wanted to go where they were. So there's a real interesting combo there for me. So if I look back at my model, it's about inspiring people, places, and passions. So they must be an inspiring person, they must be in an inspiring place, and they must be passionate about what they're doing, because then the audience picks up on their inspiration, right? From their energy, their passionate energy. So it had to tick all of those three boxes for my audience as well as for me. So that's how I mean, I know I'm sort of doing it in a long-winded way, but that's how I choose how I want to do anything. And if it doesn't tick those boxes, I ain't doing it, because I'm not. We talk about it in the other podcast, Kay. If I'm not passionate about it, or I don't want to go to a place because I've been there 20 times before, or these people are actually successful but not in alignment, e.g. they're not actually passionate about what they do, or they're not doing it for the right reason, then the whole thing's out of alignment, and therefore it's not going to work. So when I help others with their vision, I make sure that everything that they say they value, so are the people that they want to bring to their business. Because if they're not, it's not going to last very long. So it's highly important to me.
That's really right. I mean, if you're in business and you're doing business with people that you're not in alignment, it's not a fun business anymore. And you're just going to get drained, and it just becomes a chore. It's like doing a 9 to 5, no matter what it is.
Yeah. And there's a lot of gurus out there. They just say, find a market, then get a product to service the market, whether you're passionate about it or not. Like, seriously, how long do you think that will last? For me, that would last 2 minutes, because you'd be bored out of your mind. Without passion, you don't have the drive to get up every day. So as soon as that thing becomes hard, if you're not into it and you're only doing it for money, which is what so many people do, it's not going to last. Like, I feel sick even thinking about it. So step 1 of the Outlier Coaching Program is all about getting into alignment with your passions, your talents, your values, your vision, your purpose, right? And then finding others who match that you want to help, and then imagine how awesome that's going to become, right? And that's only the first part. Then there's the part about designing how you want to do that. So for me, it's always TV show related with coaching background, right? It's not writing books. It's not running workshops. It's TV. But for others, it might be writing books or speaking or whatever, It's whatever's important to them and how they want to do it. Because if it's not how you want to do it, it will not last. It's pointless.
It's true. And all the outliers in the series have done exactly that. All of their stories, everything they're doing, they're so passionate about their businesses and the people they serve and what they're doing in their lives. And that comes across in every episode. I mean, I find every episode is almost like a mini book in itself. If you want to read an entrepreneur book or a personal development book, each of our episodes is almost like a mini series of that. And we learn so much from these journeys, and there's so many amazing takeaways. Especially I find at the end of the interviews, where you ask them the questions, what are your biggest takeaways of where you've got to? The last, the journey is amazing, but also the last 15-20 minutes of the episode really is a powerful learning and takeaways for anybody in business to have. And on that I want to ask you, I guess was that a bit of a surprise for you as well when you started to learn all these stories from the entrepreneurs? I mean, you must have learned a lot yourself, being sat there in their presence, getting that account.
Yeah, I guess if they're successful in what they're doing, I know they've done something right. And usually they've found a niche and they've managed to service a market they were passionate about, right? We hear about it every episode, how important passion is to them. And obviously, as I'm talking, we've got our episode coming up next week with Mike from Canyons in Japan. Amazing journey of what he had to overcome with culture of Japan, that they weren't even used to rafting on rivers. It was an onsen related location that he was at. It's literally taken 25 years to be accepted, but now he's like one of the gurus they all come, like the Japanese government comes to for advice on tourism, right? But he had to put up with 25 years of being an outsider, an outcast, an outlier, right? But he persevered, and how he persevered is he loved what he did, and he knew it would be amazing for the country. So, you know, I know if he's got a multi-million-dollar biggest outdoor adventure company in Japan, he's done something right. So it's a clue, right? Success leaves clues. And then it's just a case of, well, tell us about your journey, and that's the way you inspire people. And then how did you make this happen? What did you learn? All of that's the how-to stuff, which is going to always be different for everyone. But it's beautiful information that fast tracks the audience's learning, because you're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Because he's been there, done that. So that's the beautiful thing about the series, is it helps people fast track their journey to get there quicker. Now, the reality is we only had like an hour each time to interview them, right? And the reason we do that is people's attention spans aren't long enough. But I honestly could interview these guys for 2 or 3 days in a row, and the magic that would come out of them would literally be a book, you know, different chapters of a book, etc. But we just didn't have the time, right? But they're obviously part of our community, and we give access to them through our stories, and then obviously we'll be doing trips to their places to go and, you know, hang with them and stuff. But yeah, we just didn't have the time to tell all the stuff. But I hopefully in the episode so far, there's, you know, some absolute gold nuggets in there.
Oh, absolutely. And I really recommend to everybody to really go through them one by one, because no matter what it's about, no matter what industry you're in, there's always a takeaway, and you can always relate it back to yourself and back to your industry, because it's kind of a universal, it's universal knowledge and wisdom that applies in many ways.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So we are all different, but when you hear the stories, they're all kind of the same, but they've been done individually by that person, if that makes sense. And what's also interesting is they all do things in their own profile or way of operating. So some will do things through relationships. Others will do things through their creations. Others will do things through not even creating anything, but they utilize their talent to bring people together to another creation, etc. You know, so that's also fascinating. They're all telling a similar story in their own way, but no one is ever going to do the same thing the same way the whole time. So that's something I found fascinating, you know, like there is no secret to success. It's just take one step after the other and keep going and learn from what's happening and adjust, right? And eventually you will get to where you want to go if you know where that is. If you don't, you're just guessing and you're making up as you go. So what we do at Outlier is try and help that process from the start, so you can be a lot more precise and purposeful and get there a hell of a lot faster for a hell of a lot less time, money, and effort. Because all of these guys, it's really interesting, they just intuitively did it, right? They didn't necessarily have lots of mentors or information. They were just weaving as they went, right? What do they? Fail, learn, repeat. Fail, learn, repeat, and just kept failing their way to success. And again, like that's another story. People freak out about failure, but you can't learn and grow if you don't fail. How would you have learned to walk if you didn't fall over after taking the first step? And then you take 2 steps and fall over. Eventually you go, like now we don't even think about falling over, right, when we walk. But if you look at the process, we had to fall over to get back up again, and then go 2 steps, and then 3, 4, 5. So it's just a part of how you grow and how you learn and how you become successful.
Yeah, I agree. And I use that analogy a lot with people as well, the learning to walk. One of my favorite sayings is, we fail forward to success. There's no success without failure. And yeah, and as a baby, like, and when you say that about, you know, when you learn to walk as a baby, that really puts things into people's mind. They say, yeah, okay, they get it. But people don't, especially in this day and age, and you see all the perfect Instagrams and everyone's got the perfect life and it always looks like their overnight success. People are so afraid of failing now. It's like everyone expects it right now. Okay, I've got this amazing idea and well, that's it, I'm in it, and I'm going to try all these gurus and do all these shiny things, and that's it, my business is going to fly. And that's not really what happens, is it?
No. So I have a saying called, to know and not to do is still yet not to know. So if you want to be successful now, like without the knowing or the understanding of what actually went into it, just so you can be it now, it's like it's a house built on a really bad foundation. It's going to collapse, right? But when you have all the knowledge through all the failures and what you did at those points and what not to do next time, it's called experience, right? So to be successful is not an overnight thing. And if you were handed it anyway, if I said like, okay, there's $10 million, there's your perfect business, but you didn't have to do anything for it, would you feel fulfilled?
Well, no, I wouldn't even know what to do with it either, because I wouldn't have the experience, the expertise, the knowledge to be able to run that business.
That's right. So failure, to not want to fail is madness. It's essentially saying, I want to skip the step of being a baby and go straight to being a teenager. But I don't want to learn anything up until that point. Just put me as a teenager. Like that to me just seems crazy.
Yeah, or even an athlete, like go from baby to athlete.
That's madness, right? And we talked in another podcast about where I live in the northern beaches of Sydney. There's one suburb in particular has a higher suicide rate because if the kids aren't rock stars or movie stars or professional athletes straight away, they think there's something wrong with them. And so they check out. Just crazy, right? Whereas how do you expect to be a movie star, rock star, or professional athlete or successful at anything if you haven't done your time?
That's right. And also one thing I also want to point out as well with the outliers in the series is that although the ones that we've showcased that, okay, maybe they own resorts or they're successful entrepreneurs or whatever it is, we've showcased people really most people at a high level. But our audience who we speak to on a daily basis, I mean, you could be an outlier in any industry. You could be a hairdresser and be an outlier in your industry. You could be a nurse and be an outlier in your industry. We're not saying you've got to go out there and open up a resort in Fiji. It's about you being you in your passion and in your industry. And that can be anything.
100%. So going back to my story, I wanted to go to Fiji. I love Fiji. Right. So I wanted to find outliers in Fiji so I could go there, interview them, so I could be in that environment with them. Right. There's nothing more to it than that. So to feel like if you don't have a resort in Fiji that you're not good enough or whatever is crazy. What I want a hairdresser, I want a nurse who maybe wants to become an amazing healer. I want a doctor. I want an author. I don't care. A scooter rider, anything. If you feel like you're passionate about something and you want to turn it into a pension, I'm happy to help you. I know that's what we do, Kay, right? We get pumped on helping people with that. It doesn't matter what they are. And the biggest criteria for me is A, they've got to be passionate, and B, I do look at it and say, well, is there actually a market there? Like, is there one we could create? And if not, is there one already? Because I don't want them to do something they're passionate about. And again, one of my mentors talks about this. He's like, says, oh, look, I'm passionate about chocolate cake, but just because I'm passionate about it, if I eat it lots, it's not actually good for me, right? So there still has to be a viable business potential that comes out of it. But that's easy. Once we work that out, and then your preferred form of delivery within that, it's about like how much fun is life, right? And it's not, this is the other thing, it's not all about money. You don't have to do what you love and be wealthy, like rich, because not everyone is, but they don't care because they're getting to do life on their terms, right? So just because being an outlier doesn't mean being rich either. That'd be a nice combination, but some of the guys we've interviewed, they just want to go to certain places similar to me and be able to have it funded for them so they can go wherever they want, get the outcome they want, and get paid for it. but not necessarily be multimillionaires because of it. So it's not about the money either, but it's about the fulfillment and the satisfaction that they will get by being themselves and expressing that to the world. And we know if we do that, it's more likely that you will become rich or wealthier. I prefer the term wealth, right? Because wealth is what you have when you have no money. So you have all these, this knowledge, experience, connections, etc., which adds to wealth. Wealth's not just a financial thing. Wealth is what you have when you have no money. So it's about saying, well, if I have no money, what am I going to do to make money tomorrow? Well, I'm going to use my connections, my intuition, my network, my knowledge, my experience. And what am I going to do with that? Well, there'll be a certain talent that I have that I would utilize to make money from it. So for me, I'm a creator as my talent, my primary. I'll create something. Other people might be, say, deal makers. They'll bring people to a creator's creation. There's accumulators, there's lords, there's mechanics. So we all have different ways of operating. But as long as we do it in the way that, is ideally in alignment with our passions, then we create the most value. Then when we leverage that value through on and offline marketing, etc., we start to create flow, which then creates income for us. So that's all part of the second part of what we do at Outlier. But that's how, it's not about the cash. It's not about the success of having to have a big resort or whatever, because not everyone wants that. The people just want to be good hairdressers. They just want to be a good citizen in society, but do it really well. They don't want to be an Elon Musk and have 50,000 employees reliant on them, etc. And yet Elon, that's what he wants to do. So it's about getting clear on yourself and doing what's right for you.
And also it's about, looking at the inner self as well. Like, let's go back to the hairdresser analogy here. Like, it's having maybe an idea going, oh, I've got a really brilliant idea that's not being done in my industry that I can then apply just to my little shop, and it's going to really bring me great custom and everything else. And I'm really passionate about it because this is something that's come from me. I'm doing something in a different way that makes me an outlier.
Absolutely.
And it's just living that is already enough.
Yeah. So I actually had a client who was a hairdresser who was sick of trying to be a hairdresser like everyone else. So charging the same, having to do more clients who weren't their ideal clients. She just wanted to do a lot higher priced client, but look after them a lot better, in addition to also training other hairdressers, right? So her, by putting her prices up significantly, allowed her to free up her time. So doing a lot less hours for the same amount of money, which freed up her time to then help others become better hairdressers as well in a group scenario, which has a lot better leverage than one-on-one. So again, she became more of an outlier and she tuned into that, and that's working a lot better for her than if she'd done it like everyone else does. So if you look at the logo behind you, Kay, or behind me, the circle, the white circle's the herd. The orange dot is the person who's standing outside of it doing things differently. So that's what we try to encourage, is how are we going to do this different to everyone else? And how we do that is, like you said, it's an internal job. We listen, we tune in, we have tools and techniques to do that, to get people really clear really quickly on what their difference is. It's already sitting there. It just needs to be untapped. But most people, outliers or not outliers, they don't even know, they don't know how to tap into it, because we're not shown that growing up, right? So my journey, which I haven't talked a lot about, but since the death of my brother, that was my real turning point for me doing what I'm doing, the amount of healing that I've done and all the different modalities on myself and on others has allowed me to create my own process to tune into me and help others tune into themselves so quick that takes the 25 years of them needing to learn it that I had to go through. They can do it in 15 minutes, 5 minutes. We've done it before in our sessions on our podcast. You're so good at it now, Kay, it's literally 1 minute and you've tapped straight into whatever's talking to you, right? And we use the body wisdom for that. So again, it's about tapping in, and then the clarity comes from listening within, not looking without. And then from that, taking the actions, which our internal self tells us the next action, and then keep taking those actions. And then very soon we've gone from A to Z really quickly, rather than just guessing our whole way to Z. Does that make sense?
Yeah, or guessing, getting lost at the same time, or like I said before, getting depressed and feeling like you don't fit in and everything else. And I've been there as well. And I like to say that you know, from my side as well. I mean, I'm a single mom living by the beach in an amazing place. And like I said before, it's not about money. It's not so much about this. Of course, it's having what we need. But yeah, it's living our true self and living in alignment and doing that inner work. And every time we do these sessions, like we go deeper, and we start tapping in, and we start actually going, I already know the answers to all these questions. I already know, it's already here. I've just got to listen. And then that just almost becomes automatically in a daily life. And then things start showing up. Like you always say, things just start showing up. It's almost like magic. You start tapping in, and then all of a sudden, poof, the right person comes, or the email turns up. And it's just like every day just becomes, grows and grows and grows. And so you're already living your outlier life just by default.
Yeah. So wherever our attention goes, energy flows, right? So what stops people with the magic showing up is they always ask the how question. Oh, how's that going to work? Don't worry about it. As long as you intend it, e.g. your attention is on something with no tension, the magic shows up.
Right. And we really want the magic to show up for as many people as possible. And we got a coaching program starting on July 18th. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so we're only looking for 6 people, right? And it's to help twofold: unleash their inner outlier, but then turn it into a business. And I know there's many, many millions of people in the world, especially now with the way the world's going, who have decided now is the time. You only get one life. It's now time to do something about my gift, my inner calling, my purpose, my passion, right? And you're hearing me. If you're watching this, you will feel it. And so I'm talking to you. If you want to turn this calling, this passion into your pension, then that's exactly what we'll be doing over a 10-week process, where we get a hell of a lot of clarity, and we get you tuning into this internal part of you that knows everything, that will get you to take steps on every single session, but we'll also turn it into a business. So you'll have your website sorted, all your social media, all of your media related, filming, how to film properly, what to film with, all the equipment, what to say, when to say it, who to say it to, all of that gets taken care of. We take care of all the limiting beliefs, any resistance you have, and there'll be 6 of us working together, all in our own businesses, to ultimately, the intent is we want you to be earning at least 10K a month by the end of the process. And if you're not, you've at least learned to, and then it'll just be a case of a bit of time until that shows up. So we have a whole process that we use that we'll teach you that'll allow you to start doing that. And then obviously once you've learned earning your 10K, if you want to earn more than that, it's just a leveraging process. And each time we apply the process, just getting bigger and bigger. So I don't know if that answers the question, but to me, all of that stuff's a no-brainer. And if you want to fast track 25 years of time, money, and effort, I've done it many, many times over for myself and others, then it's just a great fast track way to do it. We've got nurses wanting to be greater healers. We've got commercial property people wanting to become experts in their field because they've become successful in what they're doing, but now they want to help others. We've got all sorts of different vocations that people want to be doing and turning into businesses. So it's just really exciting,
And there's one industry that I want to touch on, because I think this is doing very popular at the moment, or is in like the crypto space and this kind of space, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people now want to make wealth and generate wealth through this, but you've found in the work that you've done with clients in this field that the inner blocks are stopping them from getting the upper limits that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's a really good point itself. It's like there would be people listening to this going, yeah, that sounds awesome, but, right? So they get in their own way before they even start. And I talked about it in my Outlier episode, we can guide them to the edge of the cliff, but they have to jump. And a lot of them won't jump because they're afraid of leaving the comfort zone, which is the white circle, to become their true self. Because they might already have a nice cushy income, 9-to-5 job, but it's killing them. But at least it's familiar. And even though it's slowly killing them, at least they're getting paid each week. You know what I mean? It's just crazy stuff like that, but that stops them fulfilling what they'd rather be doing. But what we do is say we don't have to give up one, just build one until you can merge or migrate into the one you'd rather be doing. So use it to help you rather than to hinder you, steer you rather than sink you. So we're not saying you have to stop doing something. We'll just eventually over time, you'll just transition into what you'd rather be doing through what we're going to teach you. It doesn't mean you got to cut all ties with society and jump off cliffs and just completely freak yourself out. You can if you want, and we've got the tools that will help you realize that that's not a problem either. But if it freaks you out and you just want to take small steps at a time, that's possible as well. There's not a race, but we want to teach you all the tools, techniques, strategies, etc., which the reality is you already know all of them. They're an internal thing, so that you can live the life that you want to be living.
Amazing. So if anybody wants to sign up for that course, the program, and like you mentioned before, there's a strategy call, which they can go to our website, and it's Outlier Coaching Program.
Yeah, so I'll put the link below, but it's outlier.tv/outlier-coaching-program. And then so you can read about it all there. There's a video there you can listen to as well. But then if you are serious and you want to have a conversation, then we've got a free 30-minute discovery call that I can jump on the call with you. We can talk about where you're at, where you'd rather be, maybe what's holding you back. We can talk about all the things, but the biggest things we'll talk about are your passions, your talents, your vision, your purpose, your values, and what you want to do with that. Then we'll talk about your ideal customer. And then we'll say by the end of that point, you'll know whether it's the right thing for you or not. I know I can help anyone with anything, right? As far as a business goes, it's a no-brainer for me, but it's because I've done it for 25 years, right? But if you're new to this and you want help, then we can help you. That is, I promise you, we will take care of the how for you. You just need to know the what and the when you want it to happen, and the rest will take care of itself. The who and the how will start showing up.
And as part of that as well, we're offering for those first 6 a bonus, aren't we, about getting some video content done for them?
Yeah, so what I've thought is for the first 6 that join, and obviously we're looking at, I mentioned 6, if we get a few more, it is what it is. But for the first 6, we will actually shoot an Outlier episode for them, which is a great way for them to share their story at a deeper level. We will shoot a promo video for their business. We'll shoot a YouTube trailer for their business, and we'll shoot 4 how-to videos based on their whatever information or advice or expertise they want to share as a bonus to all the other things they'll get. Now, if you were going to go out to the retail level, I promise you those things alone would cost you more than the investment in the program itself. What we're doing is we're giving you access to the program, which is a 10-week program with 20 coaching sessions and an online program you'll have access to for life. You'll have access to the community for life, but you'll then also get all of those things as well, which is essentially a massive head start that you're not having to, do it yourself. We will do it with you and fast track that process a lot more. So you're out there a lot quicker to ultimately be earning your 10K or more per month a lot faster as well.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to seeing all the signups for this course. I can't, and us creating more outliers in the world. But to wrap up, I have a couple of fun questions I want to ask about the series. So, what was the most fun thing for you doing the series? What was one moment that really stands out for you in the whole series?
Two things. One is a deeper thing, is the connection with outliers. I thought I was going mad in the golf space. So to reconnect with my like-minded tribe was just amazing. I realized I was normal, or, within my tribe, normal. But the most fun thing for me was Japan and skiing in Japan. It rekindled a passion that I'd put on hold. I stopped skiing at about the age of 18 because I pursued my volleyball career. And it just rekindled this passion that I had been looking for since I've stopped my golf. And it's actually allowing me to start my own journey into my own snow show and snow school and snow skiing related travel business as well. So it's perfect because it's just a mirror of Golf Getaway and Golf University, but in a new passion that has been reignited. So that was the most fun thing for me. It was so awesome because I'd been, other than Outlier, obviously, been looking to do what is my next thing as well. So even though I can do Outlier, I can do many series and things at once. And so it was just so good because it's going to allow me to travel, be in nature, doing sport in amazing places with something I'm absolutely passionate about, which again, those are all my values. And I'm going to feel totally inspired and want to create that content and share it with other passionate snow bunnies.
Amazing. I can't wait for this new TV show. It's going to be really, really amazing. So final question, what was the biggest blooper of the series?
Oh, biggest blooper. Oh, God. I mean, maybe a drone crashing into the ocean, or some of the stories, like some of the out of the comfort zone stories have some of the best bloopers that you wouldn't see even in the episode, like the out of the comfort zone thing. But some of the, I don't know if the viewers know this, but the out of the comfort zone was interviews were our prelude to the main episodes. And they were just a funny way to connect with a person before their full episode was released. And I don't know if it was like a lot of the questions were insider knowledge that I knew about the person that they didn't know that I knew, that I wanted them to then share. But some of them, some seriously dodgy backstories. So I'm not going to ever share that information. But if the viewers knew the truth around what those stories actually meant, they'd be horrified.
So I bet they were horrified when you asked those questions and they thought it was going to go out on camera.
Well, they were sweating, I can tell you that. Yeah.
Amazing. Andrew, thank you. This has been a really amazing and insightful podcast this week. So everybody, if you really enjoyed this, please give us a like, a comment, share with your friends. Make sure to watch the episode, and you can also watch the episodes that have already been released. If you can go to outlier.tv/watch, they're all there. So you can kind of go through them and really get takeaways, get a pen and paper, write down the takeaways that you get. And then obviously every 2 weeks, we then also release our podcast, which gives our takeaways to help you learn even more from what we're giving out. And then also please make sure, if you're interested, to sign up to our Outlier course, our program, sorry. And let's get creating outliers and build our tribe. So thank you, Andrew, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Kay. And just to reiterate that, right? So if you watch those episodes and you go, I could be like that person one day, that's exactly what our coaching program is. It's to then help you fast track your success in your ideal reality, whatever that is for you, life or business, so that you don't have to go through the 25 years of trial and error to, like all the other outliers have, right? So that's essentially why we show you the episodes, to inspire you, and then we help you make it a reality.
Amazing. I'm still super excited for the rest of the series. There's still so much more to come. So stay tuned, everybody.